Hello and welcome to Unabridged, the weekly podcast where teachers take on books. This is Sarah. Join us for bookish episodes and a monthly book club pick.
This is Ashley. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at UnabridgedPod or go to our website, unabridgedpod.com, where the books we read are linked for purchase.
This is Jen. Check out our Teachers Pay Teachers store, our Patreon page, and our newsletter. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts to support us. You want opinions about books? We've got them. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Teaching Tidbit number 8. This is Jen, and today's episode is New Year, New Goals. So every year there's a sort of natural pause, no matter where I've been teaching, where I have a chance to stop and consider what has gone well, what I have done well in the first part of the year, and then I have a chance to sort of reset. So these aren't really resolutions, but they're questions I like to ask and things I like to consider. At my old school, I taught courses that ran for the full year, but I still had that time at the end of first semester to pause and reflect. I'm finding that even more at my current school where we begin a new semester and new classes. So it really feels like I have a chance for a fresh start. One thing that is always on my mind is teaching literature and books that reflect a variety of voices, and that is something that I hope to do better here second semester. Another thing that's really been on my mind is grading and assessments, and when I am looking more at compliance than skill. So this first semester was a strange one where I saw my students at most once a week, and often that was for virtual classes. So as I move into second semester, I really want to make sure that I am thinking about the best ways to use the class periods when I see my students, but also the asynchronous time I have with them. And that in both of those experiences, I am honoring skill more than compliance. Now, compliance matters. So I do want my kids to be prepared for class, and that means they have to comply in reading the literature that I've assigned or doing the thinking ahead of time. But I found in looking back at first semester that I had weighed compliance a little more heavily than I would like. So that is something I'm aiming to change, both in my overall grading, but also in the rubrics that I'm creating. I also want to think, just because I have so few opportunities to see my students, I want to think about what's most essential. When do I have work time in class where I can help students? When do I have time for them to collaborate with each other? When are we having discussions about literature, which is one of my favorite things? So just which of those things am I honoring in each class? Which of those things is my focus? I want to make sure that I'm challenging my students while helping them to honor what they know and do well. I have found this year my own anxiety is reflected in my students' anxiety. And so I have definitely thought about what is essential to teach, what is essential that they know. And I've sort of been focused on getting rid of the excess. Maybe things that in past years I would have focused on a lot just don't seem all that important when I'm looking at what we're all dealing with. I definitely am thinking about how much choice I give students. Choice is really important to me. I want them to have options in what they read and in what they write. But I also think that it's valuable to have them all looking at a piece of literature together. I think that those discussions, when students can bounce ideas off of each other and work through their thoughts about a short story or a poem, are really valuable. So I'm trying to look at the balance there to still give them some choices in what they prefer. And finally, I'm really thinking about long-term projects. Again, just everybody's stress level is high and we're all juggling a lot in our lives and in school and in work. And while I want my students to have the opportunity for long-term projects and for collaboration, I think those things are really important. It's also logistically tough when I only see them once a week to do that all the time. So these are all questions that I'm just thinking about. Again, I don't have great answers. And it's not just this year. I always find that At a certain point during a semester, I really start thinking about what has gone well and what hasn't and what I can change for next time. And that started pretty early this year because it's just been such a different year for all of us. So those are some of the questions I'm thinking about moving into semester 2. I would love to know what you're thinking about in your own teaching journey, or if you're a parent, what you're seeing with your students, with your kids at home, and what has gone well for them or poorly for them first semester, and how you're thinking about changing those things. So if you can find us on social media, let us know. I would love to have that conversation with all of you. Thanks so much for listening.
Do you have comments or opinions about what you heard today? We'd love to hear them.
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Unabridged Pod, or on the web at unabridgedpod.com for a list of ways to support us.
We'd like to thank Jared Featherstone, who composed our theme music, Strings of Light, and Katie Amy of Amy Photography, our podcast photographer. Thanks for listening to Unabridged.